Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm Elise, and as usual bringing my kitchen to your home. Today we're going to be making cookies. I have here the ingredients that I'll need in order to make cookies from scratch. That sounds yummy. Okay, so I'm going to guide you step by step in how it is to make these yummy cookies from scratch. Sometimes hard. You can have your nice soft warm cookies coming out of the oven today. Okay, so walk through these steps with me. Okay, let's go. Making cookies from scratch. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix in my butter and my sugar. I want to have here 1 cup of sugar and 2 cups of butter. My sugar. My measuring cup, as you can see. So 1 cup of sugar, 2 cups of butter. Butter is fattening, and as you can see, it's a lot of butter in this mixture. So I'm going to put 2 cups, I'll probably put about a cup and a half of butter. But I tend to use butter that's not so much, like this one has 0 grams trans fat, no hydrogenated oil. So I try to go for the healthiest type of butter, and in fact this is type of like a margarine, so it's not that bad. So that's just about a cup and a half. You can put between a cup and a half and 2 cups of butter. Okay, let's put that in there. And as I'm cooking, like I told you before, it's good for you to move things out of your way, because as you can see, my kitchen here is kind of small, so I don't have too much counter space. So I'm taking stuff and I'm moving it out of the way as I'm cooking. Here goes my 1 cup of there goes my 1 cup of sugar and 2 cups of butter. Normally you can use an electronic mixer, but I'm going to do it by hand today to show everyone that you don't have to have an electronic mixer at home. You can do it by hand as well, for those of you who don't have it. So it's going to take some mixing. Okay? Now after it's creamy like that, you see? After it's creamy, I'm going to mix in 3 eggs. What I normally do, I don't know if you can see this, but when you crack an egg, there's normally like a little, to me, I don't know exactly what they call it, but to me it's like a little, I would say like a little cord that you can notice when you crack the egg. I normally take that out every time I crack my egg. Some people choose to do that, some people don't, it's up to you. But I normally take it out. 3rd egg. And we're going to mix it again. So far, just to recap, we put in 1 cup of sugar, 2 cups of butter. We mixed until it was creamy. And now we put in 3 eggs and we're mixing again until it's creamy again, okay? If you don't have an electronic mixer at home, or if your electronic mixer is, I don't know, someone is using it or whatever, it doesn't mean you can't make a cake. Use the good old-fashioned arm. Okay? Notice how I'm using a measuring cup to be accurate. Some people don't use measuring cups, and that's why sometimes your recipe doesn't come out that great, because you can measure incorrectly. You don't want that to happen. Some people are good cooks and they can measure by eye. That's very great. Everyone wants to get to that point. But if you want an accurate, if you want it to be accurate every time, it's always good to use a measuring cup. Or if you don't have a measuring cup, you could use the same size cup. Like for example, this is about a cup, about 8 ounces. So if you use this cup throughout the entire cooking process. So I could have used this for my sugar, my butter, my flour, my everything, but that's if you don't have a measuring cup. If you do, it's always better to use the measuring cup. 3 cups of flour, that was 2 cups. 1 more cup here. As you can see, it's starting to get thicker. With cookies, it is a little bit better to use the wooden spoon to mix, because with your cookie batter is a bit thick. So if you use your mixer, there's a good chance that it could not work on you, especially when it comes to the point of mixing in the flour, because it does get a bit thick here. The mixer won't work too well with this. See how creamy that is? see that? Okay. I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Mix that in. Mix it in well, so this way you can have everything incorporated there. That's your cookie batter. See how creamy that is? Now what I want to do is I want to make a few different types of cookies. There's, as you can see when you go outside, there's chocolate chip cookies, there's white chocolate chunk cookies, there's oatmeal cookies, sugar cookies, Heath cookies, peanut butter cookies. There's all sorts of cookies. You can be very creative with this part. What I'm going to do is I'm going to separate my batter into a few different pieces, and with each piece I'm going to put a different flavor for my cookies. I'm going to do some peanut butter, I'm going to do some with Butterfinger. I'm going to crush up the Butterfinger and put it inside my cookies, or some other type of chocolate. I'm going to see what kind of chocolates I have here. I'm going to make some sugar, some sugar cookies, some with oatmeal. So I'm just going to separate them into a few different flavors. But you can experiment there at home, whatever you have. As you can see, I'm not going out and buying anything. I'm just checking around my house to see what kind of stuff I have. I found oatmeal, peanut butter. I have some chocolates over here. I'm going to add in my Snickers. That's it. Now I'm just going to mix it around in there a little bit. To get it all incorporated. Cookie base. It has like little chunks of Snickers in there. Now I'm going to put it into a container because after you decide what flavors you want your cookies to be, you need to put it in the fridge or freezer for about 2 hours just so that it can get hard. It's going to cool off a little bit. You see? There goes my Snicker cookies. I'm going to put that in the fridge. Peanut butter into the cookie. I'll just take about a spoonful, like that much. That way when it's baked in the oven, it'll be just regular cookies but with a nice taste of peanut butter in there for those of you who like peanut butter. And my peanut butter was crunchy peanut butter, so it had pieces of peanuts inside, so it's going to have a nice crunch when I eat it. If you are a person who really likes cookies, or if you have kids and your kids love cookies, instead of always going out and buying cookies outside, even sometimes, I don't know about all over the world, but here in America they always sell these things called Pillsbury cookies, where they come like in the freezer section and they're all, it's just a cookie dough, that's all. They're quite expensive actually. It's just a cookie dough and then they put it in the freezer and then you just bring it home and all you do is cut it out and put it in the oven. This is where we're at right now, and they're like $5 for about 20 cookies. It's quite expensive. If you can see just the ingredients that I put together now, this is my cookie dough. I'm putting it in the fridge for 2 hours or the freezer for 2 hours, and then I'm going to cut it up and put it in the oven. That's it. So this is something good. You can make a big batch of it and put it in your freezer, and whenever you're ready you take it out and you just cut it up, put it in the oven, and you're done. So there's no need to go and buy cookie dough when it's only sugar, butter, flour, oatmeal. I'm just going to put just a little bit of it. I don't want it to be overkill. Just a little bit of oatmeal, and I'm going to put a few pieces of raisin inside. I put that in there. And like we did with everything else, I'm mixing in my oatmeal and my raisins. You can make M&M cookies. If you have kids and they like chocolates, you can make all types of cookies. You just need to be creative, that's all. Constant blog viewers will see that I'm always asking you to be creative. Creativity is not something that some people have and some people don't. You can be a creative person. You just need to put your mind and think of different things that you can do, and sometimes it might come out right, sometimes it might come out wrong. You just need to try and let your creative juices flow. That's all. That's all I ask you to do. Be creative. Try to let your creative juices flow. I'm doing peanut butter, Snickers, oatmeal, raisin, but if you don't have this, use what you have. Use just plain sugar. Use, I don't know, strawberries, whatever you want to put in your cookies. That's up to you. It's about 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours. I'll come back with you and I'll show you more what you need to do to get these babies up to the oven and into your stomach, okay? God bless from my kitchen to yours. See you in a few minutes. I took my cookie dough out of the freezer, which is where I had it. And here's my peanut butter cookie. Here's my Snicker cookie, as you can see. And here is my oatmeal raisin cookie. Easy. We did our cookies. We had them in the freezer. Now it's Pillsbury dough process. All we do is take our cookies, cut them in circles, and we're going to put them in the oven and bake them in 350. There's a thing called cookie cutter. Today I'm not going to be using it, but these do exist. It's called a cookie cutter, where you can put your dough inside and then they cut it to different shapes. Like this here, you have different shapes that you can cut your cookie into. And there's like, for example, a Y and X, all these funny little shapes. a Christmas tree. You can have that imprinted on the top of your cookie. But I'm not going to get into that today because I just want my plain cookies. I'm not doing it for any occasion. I have here wax paper. This, it tends to smoke when it's in the oven, but it is the best type of paper because you don't have to grease up your pan. I took my peanut butter cookie. I'm just scooping it into the thing like that. Look at that. Once it's in the oven, it'll flatten out. Okay, so I'm going to do 1 scoop peanut butter, 1 scoop Snickers, and 1 scoop oatmeal raisin. And we're going to put that in the oven, and I'll meet you back in a few minutes, so about 8 to 10 minutes. From my kitchen to yours, it was a pleasure being here with you, teaching you how to do cookies.